Welcome to the Foresight Scrolls Channel. Here we examine charts and trade setups based on the Foresight Suite for Tradingview Indicators. We'll take a look at indices, stocks, cryptos, and commodities. If you want me to take a look at something specific, just drop it in the chat. If you're unfamiliar with the suite of indicator functions, you can watch the demo video here on the channel, or you could check us out at ForesightScrolls.com and find out more information there, and also how to get the scrolls and join the Discord. You don't even have to buy the indicators to get in the Discord, so you're welcome there as well, and you can find that on the website. So each day we take a look at a few different things. We try to spread it out. So an indices, maybe a crypto or two, a commodity, maybe an individual stock. Today we're going to take another look at the SPY. And if you're watching this, you probably know about the market dump out on last Friday. And right now with a lot of things, we're just in a holding pattern because a dump that big really requires a little time for people to get their footing and for the markets to shake out and decide which direction they're going to go. Now, that being said, there's a couple of things about the S&P 500 in particular, and one is that on that day we got this huge bearish bar, and then everything that's happened between now and then has been inside bar action or some relative version of a bear flag. Now we're looking at the flow of time here, which is the Foresight's trend indicator. You can tell it's very good at what it does. And you can see here we dumped out, and generally speaking, on our indicator, we want to see a signal, the Genesis cross or the Oblivion cross in a bear case. This is what you see over here. An Oblivion cross is sort of a confluence of not only price crossing, but there are a few other things too that are telling us this is most likely going to continue down. One of the things that I found earlier, and I wanted to show you a chart where I have on regular candles colored differently, probably red and green, something that you are familiar with seeing them as. And one of the things I found to be really, really interesting here, which I think is another signal or a sign of the real power of our indicator here, just strictly speaking about the flow of time and being a trend, is that you can see the S&P 500 has been in this up channel for a very long time, back since April, May. And it stayed really close. Now you can see the bottoms here is where we've ultimately bottomed out, but the trend has held this thing intact pretty much the whole way. What's really interesting now is if we were to notice, we have finally broken down out of this up channel. So we broke down. We actually had we're on the 4 hour here. Let me get back to the daily. We broke down. We came back up and retested. And then we're sort of stuck. If you can tell here, we're stuck in between the channel itself and our epoch, which is the line in the sand for us between a bullish and a bearish trend. So we're just watching that over the next few days. We're definitely going to see what happens as our mystic signal begins to turn around here. But even signal or not, one of the things that we're really, really paying attention to is just how this is wedged in between the channel that it's been in. So this is just some technical analysis, drawing patterns that you're probably familiar with. If not, it's pretty straightforward. You can see that it's a parallel channel, and we've just sort of marked out the tops here. And with a parallel channel, you can just stretch it up and down, marks out the bottoms, and it's been in a really tight channel this entire time. And now we're sort of stuck. And generally, we mark these out not by the wicks, but by the bodies. And you can see our body is closing. It just closed right under it today. So it will be interesting to watch this over the next few days because, generally speaking, we've had a bear candle, and now it's sort of moving up at this bear flag pattern here. So if it's roughly at a 45-degree angle or less, it can be considered a bear flag. Now, if this thing gets up in here and starts to close up in here again, then we can negate this bearish candle right here. But until then, we're just going to assume that we're watching our line in the sand on the S&P 500. And so if someone were trading this, those are the things you have to look for. In my opinion, you get to do whatever you want to do. This is not financial advice, just education and insight. All right, let's move on to Bitcoin. And like we had said in past streams, in the beginning of this one, the big dump out has just effectively slowed everything down, and we're just waiting for some move in the market to tell us which way everything's going. Bitcoin is really interesting. Some of the altcoins took murderous dumps, like 50-60% dumps. Bitcoin is a really big market cap now, so it moved 10%, which is a big move, but in comparison, very small. And you can tell it's sort of caught on our trend line here, on our support from the echoes of time. And it's just sort of sitting there now. Not a lot to really discuss about Bitcoin until it decides if it's going to start closing below this line or not. You can tell by the flow of time that, it's sort of snaking around here. We are making the turn over. So we'll just have to watch and see what happens in the next few days with Bitcoin. Now, if we wanted to go down to the 4-hour and see this with a little more detail, a little more clarity, what we can see on the 4-hour is when we broke the trend here and it started to push down, we have yet to get back above it. And our trend wave, or our wave of eons as we call it, is keeping it down. So if this thing rolls over and price stays pinched, it will most likely just push this down until the next support here. No signals as of yet, so no premonitions. As you would see over here, we get a premonition, then we got a long spell, sort of a confirmation of the premonition, and then up we go. Nothing to report there. We haven't taken a look at Link yet since we started the stream. And if you're new, we have I think we've done about 5 to 7 of these so far, because we just launched the Foresight Suite last Friday on the day of the dump. It was actually, I think we launched within like an hour after the dump maybe happened. So I don't know if it's good timing or bad timing, but we haven't gotten a chance to look at Link yet. And we can see that Link dumped out 61%, which is just, there are no more ways to explain this. This is just gross. I mean, you've seen probably stories about the amount of liquidations that have happened in crypto specifically. It's, one of the reasons why crypto is still the Wild West. Bitcoin's finally starting to level out a little bit, but it can certainly move as well. Let's look at, almost every crypto has this exact same pattern. So you see the huge dump out and then this just bear flag that it's marching across. We don't have any premonitions here from our Foresight indicator. We do have a short spell. No extra confluence like we would see with the white triangles that we have here, which is, we call those omens. They're not listed that way on screen, but we call those omens. Had we seen one of those here, that would have given me probably a really good bearish bias. And to be honest, it's a little bit of a bearish bias as it stands. We're under our wave here. It's pressing down. We have no Foresight premonitions to the upside, and so for now we're mildly bearish. Not a lot to look at. Sort of a stream today that really doesn't give us a lot of insight into the market. And that's just because the market's it's really all in my eyes, it's hinging on this. In the S&P 500, we could look at the NASDAQ too, doing similar things, or the Dow Jones. Everything just sort of dumps out, and it's in their own pattern. But all of them in this trying to decide, which way they're going to go pattern. So we'll see tomorrow where we're at. The last thing we're going to look at, we hadn't looked at a commodity yet, so we're going to check out oil. Oil has been bouncing around for quite a while. It looks like it's bleeding off, but then one of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up was to talk about how you can spot bounces with Heikin-Ashi candles in a particular way. Now, before I do that, I do notice that right here we had a short spell with confluence of our omen. Look, we just sort of look at how oil has turned out on these. We could go all the way back here. Look how we get these omens, and we go up, and then we get a shorting omen. Then it has this just vicious dump. Again, right here, vicious dump. We get this pump right here. It's a nice pump right there. Although I will say, depending on when you got in, if you waited till candle close, you were probably only getting a couple percent out of that. But we got it again right here. And since we got that, we're down 10% on oil. So if you're unfamiliar with how to buy that, there are ETFs that track crude oil. And you can buy, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But just whatever platform you're on, or you could just do a quick search for ETFs that track crude oil. I should be able to find that out. I'm just sort of striking out here, trying to shoot off the hip. But the thing I wanted to point out here, which I thought would be an interesting learning point for the day, and this is something that you don't really see with regular candles. So if you look at regular candles, you see where we're at right here. You see this area back over here where it was trying to catch support, but it was indecisive. There's no real clear middle. Now, if there were, it would be something like this, which is where you see the tip struck over here. I'm just sort of seeing these candle closes, so you could mark those out. But one thing that you can do on Heikin-Ashi is you can see these moves, these V-looking moves really clearly. This is a double bottom right here. And what normally happens is that you can get a bounce right in the pit, the armpit, the candle close of this V. So this gray one, this first gray candle right here, if we put that right in there, we can normally see where things are going to get a bounce. So if you notice, we bounced here first, and it's sort of bleeding out now. And so if this thing holds for about 2 more candles, I would expect it to see it turn back up around. If not, if it just sort of just peters out and gets weak, then we would see it fall down to here, down to about 55, roughly. I would say at least to this this bar close here, which is about 56 and a half. But those are little extras that you can add alongside the Foresight Suite while we're waiting on signals to emerge. Now, when we're doing these live streams every night, we're just looking at a few things. But remember, this suite applies to the entire field of cryptos. It applies to all stocks, all commodities, all ETFs. So our Discord receives signals on all of these. So we're getting buy and sell signals on some type of asset, some symbol every single day, both on like larger lists, like the composite larger lists, and then we also have a smaller list that's just compiled of like the biggest things by market cap. So you would think of your Mag 7 stocks like Nvidia, Apple, so on and so forth, and then the top 10 cryptos by market cap, in case you just wanted to play those few things. which isn't a bad idea. You know, it helps with not getting overwhelmed with things and over analyzing things, which is one of the main features of the Foresight Suite, is to keep things as simple as possible while also being coded in a way that it is incredibly robust. And it's, you know, I really don't feel ashamed flexing on this, because I'm really, really proud of it. And you could just see how when the signals come in, they can be quite powerful. Not always perfect, you know. There's always room for growth, and that's certainly something that we're doing daily, is to make this thing even more surgical by the day. And if you're interested, again, check out ForesightScrolls.com, or check out our tutorial here on the channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.